What is going on, you guys? My name is Cody Thixton, and this is the Justine Podcast. Coming to you guys on September 24th, 2023 for episode 73, where today we have another very, very special guest. Make sure to hit that like, subscribe button, ring that notification bell so you guys get notified whenever I upload content. Make sure to go and follow me on social media at CodyT503. That's Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Let's get right into this. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it is an absolute pleasure to bring to you guys Justice Taylor.
Hi. How you doing?
Oh man!
I decided to put on petite hair for this because I knew you said it was just a small gig, so I wear the smallest things that I own.
Oh man, I'm kind of like lost for words right now a little bit, but like if we could kind of get maybe if you could introduce yourself to everybody who maybe doesn't know you, maybe introduce your name, where you're from, and what you do for a living.
Yes, absolutely. So my name is Justice Taylor. So I live in Houston, Texas. If you try and hunt me down, I may say hello, but if you're a little crazy, if you tip big enough, I'll say hello and get a picture with you. But I work for Christian Dior during the day, and then at night I am a real woman. And I have to say it that way because women are gorgeous females, but a woman is a person that takes a shovel like I do to paint and just wear petite hair and small jewelry and just very fishy dresses. You know. I'm like, the simple things in life, But Christian Dior is my main career. So
that is really, really cool. Well, before we actually get into Dior, I know that you are with somebody named Chris.
yes,
So
he
how
is
how did
hiding downstairs.
So walk us through that day of when you guys actually met and how everything kind of progressed.
So it's a little shady, okay, in a good way. Well, it's kind of shady. So the true tea, okay. So I used to live on the Gulf Coast, and I had lived in Louisiana for about a year because I moved there for work. So with Christian Dior, and I have some friends that live in the Gulfport, Mississippi area. So I ended up going there and hanging out with them. And he used to do drag. He performed as well. His name was John Ramonster. Was a good friend of mine from Atlanta, but he had moved back to Mississippi, which was his hometown, years before I had relocated. And there is something called Gulf Coast Equality. So they raise money and they work with the community to help youth to learn how to interview, how to function in life, and how to survive on their own, which is really cool. So Chris was the treasurer for Gulf Coast Equality, and they always did these fundraising brunches. And I had never met him before, but my friend was booked with them, and I saw him walk by at one of the brunches, and I was like, that boy is so cute, and I love his hair. Honey. It's like the style that I have now, but shaved on the side. And I was like, he's super cute, but of course he didn't acknowledge me at all. And so the next time they had a brunch, I ended up getting booked to perform at their brunch at this. It was a weird venue. It was like a bank, but they had this performance area up top. I don't even know what was going on in this bank, but he actually walked up, and I was getting dressed to go on for my first number. And he goes, "Does anybody need anything?" And he walked up to me and he goes, "Hey, do you need anything?" And I was like, "Are you on the menu?" And of course, in true drag fashion, he was like, "Maybe," just being cheeky, and just walked off. Well, by the end of the day, I was like, this boy is so cute. I wish I could ask him on a date, but there was never really a time to like stop and have a conversation because the show was moving so quickly. And him being the treasurer for Gulf Coast Equality, he ended up having to do like the count the money at the end. And the entire show, he was actually running to the back, exchanging bigger bills for our one so that people could continue tipping. And I was like, you know what? It just isn't meant to be. I didn't think anything about it. You know how it is when you see cute people and you're like, all right. And then you kick it. Well, my market for the Gulf Coast area was so spread out. So I had all the way to Panama City, to all of Louisiana was mine. And then, of course, all the way to Beaumont, Texas. And one night I was coming back from Florida and I had to pass through Gulfport, Mississippi, which is where SIPS is. SIPS is a place that I used to do trivia on Tuesday nights, and I would perform and things like that. Well, I stopped there to have a cocktail because it was an hour drive from there to my house. And he actually walked in. And when he walked in, because he was the treasurer for Gulf Coast Equality, he was showing the bartender, which at the time was the president of Gulf Coast Equality, a flyer that he had made. And it was like a trifold, and it was, really nerdy, that tech shit. So I'm like, the tech shit that I don't get. So he walks in, and it was just the bartender and myself. And then he walks in, and I was like, would you like to have a cocktail? And of course, he's always thirsty. He's very parched. And he's like, sure. And of course, because I offered to pay, I knew he was going to sit down. In true fashion of the gay world, free drink, why not? So he sits down and we started chit-chatting. And that was at like 7 p.m., 6 p.m., something like that. We ended up staying at the club until 2 a.m. talking. And I mean, it got packed. I mean, it was packed in there. But we were talking. We actually got a photo. I have to post it. It's and it was an ugly photo too. Like we were cocktailed down. We'd had a few waters, and I'm like hugged up on him, and we're taking a photo. And the funny thing is, I asked him on a date that night, and he said, "Yeah, I would love to." Well, he also in the same conversations, like, "Yeah, I've been talking to this guy for like many, many years, and." It's like off and on. And of course, when he starts talking about he's talked to somebody else, I was over it. So I actually ended up not following through with the date. And I waited a month, and I was like, it was a turnoff. So I ended up reaching out one night, or one day, and I was like, so when are we going to go on a date? He's like, well, soon, I hope. And I was like, oops. So that was on me then, my beggar. So we ended up going on a date to the movies, and I strategically planned to go watch Birds of Prey because I had already seen it. And then that way he had not seen it, but I could talk. Sorry, my eye is dripping. So the funny thing is that he was like, I kind of feel like you've already seen this movie. And I was like, no, I haven't. Yeah. Well, long story short, we ended up going to my best friend's house for our second date. We did like a just all friends hang out, put a movie on, and he went to sit down, and he had soda in a cup. And when he sat down, it spilled all over his pants. And he was like, oh my gosh, he was so embarrassed. And I told my friend, I said, get him the smallest shorts you own, like shortest shorts. I don't care. And my friend, of course, starts laughing, and he's like, okay, girl, I got you. He brings him the shorts. We're like all cuddled up watching the movie. And it was funny because like it kind of like broke the ice a lot quicker. I mean, as you can tell, I'm very quiet and reserved. So after that, COVID ended up hitting. We went on a couple of dates. I met his kids. He has 2 kids. And I ended up moving in with him during COVID. He didn't really have a choice because I pretty much was already there. And I was like, I'm not going anywhere. And it makes sense just to stay here because you have animals and I don't. And yeah, we've been together for over 3 years now. Made it easy. But just imagine if I wouldn't have reached back out. He wouldn't have reached out first. She's not that ambitious type. I'm like, honey.
Oh. So like how was it like finding somebody that you can kind of coordinate with when it comes to drag or performing, and just being able to have somebody there that kind of understands what you need to do to be able to perform to the best of your abilities, and having somebody actually have your back? Like, how much has he helped you in your whole career?
So he helps a lot. I mean, in the last 3 years, I mean, he's been very supportive in he already knew drag community anyway because of being part of Gulf Coast Equality, and their drag brunches are how they made most of their money. And he was pretty open to that anyway. I think the biggest thing that people don't understand is that you can't accept anything from the other person until you're 100% solid on your own. And that's one thing that I had to learn. And I had never lived by myself until I lived by myself for 6 months before I got promoted as an account executive with Christian Dior. And then I was moved to the Gulf Coast, which is where I ended up meeting him. But I lived by myself for a year there. And I literally just had this conversation with a friend of mine. I had to like make myself go and be social without knowing anybody. So like moving to a new place, a new state, you've not met anybody. Yes, my friends were an hour away, but I don't want to drive an hour every time I want to go do something. Plus, I didn't want to have to make myself feel like I needed to be around people to be confident. So I made myself go to like the movies alone. I used to go to like I took myself to Hibachi one time. That was so uncomfortable. But you know how weird it is to be the only person at Hibachi while there's like this family at the same table? Really weird. But I did it because I knew I needed to learn how to do things alone and by myself and be self-sufficient, and also knowing how to make myself enjoy my own time without feeling like somebody had to be there. So once I learned that, I feel like that's why he was brought into my life at the time that he was, because I had that time to really evolve as an individual before needing to get in with somebody else. The good thing is he was married at one point. He had 2 kids, and it was the same way where like he is fine on his own. He owned his own place. He was very self-sufficient. He's a very hard worker. And so we didn't need each other to be ourselves. And that's the great part about it is once we're together, we're not focused on ourselves anymore. We can then give ourselves to the other person. And I think that that was the best timing for it to happen, because he's been very involved in my drag. He goes to almost every single drag show if he's able to. He helps me get ready. He knows I'm very self-sufficient when it comes to drag. So like he wants to help more, but I am very like, I got it. Like, I got it. And during a drag show, he'll come up, like if I need a zip, I'll be like, babe, can you come zip it? And he's like, yeah. But other than that, like, unless I ask for you to help me with something, don't touch me. Just get the hell away from me. Let me do my thing. And that's the great thing about it is he doesn't take offense when I say it. I'm like, can you just back off? You're getting on my damn nerves. And he's like, yes, that, you know, but we don't have to do that anymore because we've learned how each other likes to live and be as an individual. So, you know, if it's a computer problem, girl, she's on it in a heartbeat. But when it comes to drag, he's like, I let him do his thing and decorating. He lets me decorate everything in the house. He's like, I don't give a shit. And I was like, well, you know, my friend made that joke. I'm gonna go to his house and he's gonna have all them howling wolves at the moon. Those pictures everywhere. He didn't. But then one year he made it a joke and bought me a blanket with that on it. I hated it. Never used it. But we support each other. When we moved here, it gave him an opportunity to not work for the first year. He got his certification for IT that he needed to get, his A+ certification. He got into a career that he loves to do now. And he's so passionate. He knows how to do all this stuff without the certification. I'm like, you just need the paper to show you know how to do it. But he already knows how to do it. So that was my way of giving back to him because of him supporting me so much. I don't get to do it as often because he doesn't have that type of hobby other than like buy me all this shit so I can build my own computer. You can only do that so many times, honey. He's already built the computer from the ground up. The damn thing's like a spaceship over here. But but you know, when we got here, I was like, do what you need to do to get your certification. I want you to have a career that you love like I do. Because when you love what you do, you're not really working. So world peace.
That is so cool. Well, we'll kind of touch back on to that a little bit later. And I just want to ask you, just because you are such like a captivating person because of the fact that you carry so much confidence with yourself. And I really admire that. And it's like, what drives you so much with confidence? Or maybe what would be a piece of advice that you would give somebody who maybe isn't so confident in really being confident in themselves?
Well, you can buy it on Amazon. No, you know, honestly, when it comes to confidence, it all depends on your comfort level. I think every single person has a moment to where a topic will be brought up in a conversation. and it's something they know in and out, every detail, and that person truly shines when it's something they know about. Like with Chris, when it comes to IT, he opens up so much in a group setting. He's already pretty open anyway. He's not a quiet person, but he does like to observe and listen. But when he comes to a topic like that, he blossoms so much. For myself, it's the same thing. When it comes to working for Dior, I'm confident in it. I started at a counter level, so I know what I'm talking about when it comes to that topic. When it comes to drag is the same thing. I've come from being a complete booger. Sometimes still am. It just depends on the day and how hot it is outside, because I melt, quite easily. But it's all about being confident in what you're around. So I feel like some people always try and put themselves in situations of, I'm not too comfortable in a group setting, or I'm not comfortable in this setting. Well, don't get in that setting. It's fine. Be in the setting you like to be in and flourish. Because the cool thing is you don't have to go to a bar to meet people that you identify with and that you can have the same interest as. And I think that that's where a lot of people have that misconception, is that you have to put yourselves in those situations to meet people. And it's not true. It's like, go where you're comfortable, and eventually you're going to meet the people there. It's fine. And you'll feel comfortable and confident because it's your bubble, and it's fine to be in your own bubble. Because I will tell you, I have met thousands and thousands and thousands of people, but I only hang out with like 10. That's it. Like, I don't really open it up to that. And it's not because I'm like, oh, I got my people, I'm done. It's I am pretty, if somebody comes in new into the situation, I'm very observant, and I actually get quieter because I'm trying to watch what this person's like personality is, and what is something as a topic that gets them excited, and what are they confident in. But in that same token, I find people where I'm like, you are not going to be in this group, girl. Like, you are just visiting this group for a minute. You're not going to be here. So I don't invest in it. I'm like, I'll be cordial, but I don't have the conversations I would with my core group. So I really feel when it comes to confidence, you have to be in your own setting and know what your setting is. And you don't have to take a risk. You just have to put yourself in that bubble you like to do. And that could be your risky moment.
Yeah. Yeah. So I also know that so you and Chris were able to actually travel to Paris.
Yes.
So like
well, I was able to go to Paris. Chris hasn't went to Paris.
Oh. Oh, okay. I thought you guys went together. I apologize. So
No,
like
we went to Puerto Rico.
Crazy. So you've been to like multiple parts of the world. That is so. Go ahead.
No, I said I have to. The Paris wasn't a choice, girl. That was work related.
But how was it going to Paris?
Paris was awesome. You know, I think watching movies before I was able to ever go, it was something you fall in love with. And I think it's because you fall in love with the idea of what they make Paris look like in all of the movies and the TV shows. The first time I ever went to Paris was on a vacation, and this is many years before I met Chris. My best friends, I have a lot of best friends. That's why I say my 10 people. My best friends actually took me for my birthday before I met Chris, and they paid for the ticket and they paid for the Airbnb, and then I just paid for like my food and the extra stuff. And it was so cool to be able to go and see things that I had only seen on TV. And I grew up very poor until I was in about maybe like 6th grade. Then my mom got promoted and we got more, but we never traveled out of like Alabama and Florida, girl. My mom was forever a Panama City girl. But it was really cool to be able to go and see the differences. And it was like so surreal. And then when I went back in October for work, it was because I was nominated for my idea for the project. And I still can't talk about it because we're moving forward with it. But it's something big that will be started in Dior. And then once we can show the results, it will be presented to the global president to see if we can make it for worldwide for Dior. And then if it's that successful, then we can put it for every LVMH brand. But I was selected to go, and I worked so much that I didn't get to experience anything. because it was like you had to be there by 8:30 in the morning, and then we didn't get done until after 10 o'clock at night, and we were in the building the entire time. So
Yeah.
I will tell you, have you ever been overseas?
I would love to one day.
It's very expensive. I would say if you can get the plane ticket paid for, you're good. Because like
Yeah.
Airbnb isn't crazy and the food isn't really expensive. It's just the plane ticket that's the problem. But
Yeah.
that you get, I didn't realize like how like fish out of water you are when you go to another country. Because honey, I know I have a twang, and when I know I'm Southern, okay. And when I speak on camera, I do it a little extra thick just because it's it's the thing. However, the way like Chris tells me I speak cornbread, like, and so I was like full on Jiffy cornbread when I was in Paris because when I tell you these people looked at me like I was crazy. They were like, "You have the weirdest accent," and I'm like, "Me? Like, honey." And the funny thing is me. So I drink Diet Coke. Okay, so Diet Coke is like my drink of choice, and
Mhm.
so the funny thing is when you go, they don't have Diet Coke in Europe. They have Coke Light or Coca-Cola Light. And so I would also have to say Coca-Cola Light, but then when you order coffee, it's like no sugar. So I had to learn how to say no sugar in French because when I would go to Starbucks, the most American place there, I'd be like, "Can I get it with no classic?" Well, they didn't know what classic meant. So I said no sugar. He's like, "Sugar?" And I was like, "Sans sucre?" And I'm country, so that sounds weird. And so he'd be like, "Oh, no sugar." And I'm like, "I just fucking said that." In English, how you just said it, and you didn't understand what I said. But I think they try and challenge you to see if you're going to speak French while you're there. It was a
Mhm.
struggle. It was a struggle. Struggling, and they don't have as much preservatives there. So there's a lot. Their food is so different. So
Yeah.
like everybody's like, "Oh yeah, they eat snails." I'm like, "Girl, that's not it. Everything is a better quality. So you eat like a hamburger this size. Where here you're like hungry in 30 minutes, or at least I am. And this size burger there, I was full for like 8 hours. I was like, what is this magic here? I would be so skinny because you walk everywhere and you barely eat. So I mean.
Oh man, that is awesome. So let's kind of start up to talk about your career at Dior. So like when did you actually first start working there?
So I think it was, I know it's been around 10 or 11 years now total, but I started
Mhm.
as a part timer at the counter. I moved to Atlanta after my mom passed away, and it was a way for me to kind of like get a fresh start, try something different. And my roommate, that girl, he got me to come up there, and I thought we were gonna have a 2-bedroom apartment. We were in a damn loft, where I could do this and touch the entire building. But I was working as a server, and a friend of mine worked at Mac and said, "You should apply at Nordstrom." And I said, "For what?" And they said, "Well, for cosmetics." And I said, "I only know how to do drag makeup. I don't really know how to do real girl makeup." And he said, "Well, honey, it's drag makeup, but less." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And he goes, "And plus, these cosmetic brands don't even make colors that you like to use anyway. So it'll all be brown." And I was like, "Ah, even better. Come on, neutral eye." Because obviously, I don't do that. And so I ended up going for an interview, and I was supposed to have been interviewed for Chanel. And the department manager was like, "I will call you when it's time for you to interview for that, or they will call you to interview." And I said, "Okay, perfect." And they ended up never calling me. And I called back a week later and was like, "Hey, like they never reached out to me to interview." And they said, "Oh, they ended up going with another candidate." And I said, "Well, that's very unfortunate because they didn't even give me an opportunity to speak to them." And I was like, "Look, I'll do anything, even if it's part time, just to get my foot in the door for cosmetics because I don't have any experience." They called me back that afternoon and said, "We have a Dior position for a part time position. You would need to interview." And I was like, "Perfect." So when I ended up being able to interview, the regional manager, which is actually what the position I'm in now, she interviewed me. She's now in a position higher than me, but she sat down and we started interviewing, and she a lot of people said that she's very intimidating. And I personally was comforted because she interviewed me like my mom interviewed anybody that she ever like interviewed in her company. And I was like, she goes, so like, why do you think that we should move forward with you as a candidate? And I said, well, it benefits you more than it does me. And she goes, okay, I'm very confused. How is that possible? Because you have no experience. And I said, for you to have somebody that pushes 100% what the brand image and expectation is, you have to be able to teach them from the ground up what the values of the company are. And if I have no preconceived notion of how to do a consultation, how to sell products, I've never sold any of the cosmetic industry items to anybody, then that means that when I come in, I'm 100% a blank slate, a blank page for you to write the story of Dior. And that's the only way I'm going to know going forward to do it. So the thing is I will uphold the image more than somebody else that is qualified because I have no experience coming into this. But the thing is, you're not going to have to teach me how to sell. I can sell anything to anybody. That's not a problem. I just need to brand. And she said, oh, well, do you have any other questions for me? And I said, yeah, when do I start? And she's like, she goes, cockiness is not cute. And I said, it's confidence, not cockiness. And I tell you, I got a call that afternoon. They hired me. And to this day, that manager that hired me, anytime we're in a setting of Dior corporate, she's like, I hired Justice when he started as a part-timer at the counter. Like, she's so proud of it. Because I told her, if I don't double your business within the first month, I will leave. You don't even have to fire me. Mm-hmm. So that's one thing that I have felt in this company, because they're so open to letting people really prove themselves. Because I don't have college experience. I didn't go to college, or well, I went for 6 months, but with my gig. But that's the great thing about Dior, is they give you the opportunity to really be successful in the company. And I make 6 figures with 0 college experience, and it's just based all around passion and growth from the company that I love to work for. So it's really cool.
That is really awesome. That is so cool. So let's kind of start to talk about drag a little bit. So I know there was like a small interaction that I've had with you like throughout our time, and I remember asking you about what was your most nervous moment, and you said that it was your first ever drag show. Mm-hmm. So maybe if you could walk us through exactly when your first drag show was, and maybe how you calmed that nervousness before you actually went out and performed.
I mean, if I could have walked in my first number, that would have been great. But I was a bit lit. It was my 21st birthday, and I'd had quite a few waters, if you catch my drift. And I was performing at a place called $3 Bill in Gadsden, Alabama. Very high-end place. No longer there. It was that high-end. Nobody could afford it. But great start. The fun part is I was so nervous because you're in front of all these people, and you kind of have to learn how to do songs that people know and they like, because if you're doing something they never heard of, it's like they're just staring at you the entire time. It's like Bambi in the headlight, you know? I love how I said Bambi. Deer in the headlight, girl. You know, country over here. I'm giving them damn names and stuff now. But you always think that you're doing a song everybody knows. And like, I had songs like, I was like, okay, I got a Missy Elliott song. I got I Love Rock and Roll, the Britney Spears version. I was like, I got songs they're going to know. They're going to love it. But then you go and the music starts playing, and I forgot all my words standing on backstage. And I was like, oh, shit. So like, I'm like, what? Like, and you don't even realize it's going to happen. You just forget what song you're doing. You're like, I know this song in and out, but how do I not remember the words? So the music starts playing, and like they're singing, and I haven't stepped out yet. So I'm like, huh. And it wasn't even that the people were there. I was now terrified that I didn't know the damn words to a song, and I'm about to have to do a 3-minute song of not knowing the words. Mm-hmm. Well, it was weird because it was like, it just comes back to you immediately, and you just step out, And once you're in front of people, the spotlight is usually so bright you can barely even see them anyway. So I was like, you know what? Let me stare at the spotlight for a minute until I'm good. And so that's what I did. I came out, I stared at the spotlight, and then at that point, you know, it's like staring at the damn sun. I was blind. So I'm like trying to perform. I just want you to know that every single shot that I did before my first number hit me as soon as that spotlight hit me. Because I was like this. Ooh, I'm drunk. So I was holding the microphone out here the entire time I was singing. My best friend kept being like trying to like prompt me to sing into it because I just had to have this prop. Just had to have it. And that was the first number. That was I Love Rock and Roll. The second number, I was feeling a little bit more confident because I was like, oh, I did it. Nerves are done. That was a lie. Because as soon as that song came on, forgot my damn words again. I was like, what the hell is with this? So I did Flirt by the Pussycat Dolls. And I ended up going out and I was like, okay, we're good. The problem is I let my adrenaline kick in and I did a high kick and then I did a slide on my knees towards the table. And when I did, there was a nail sticking up out of the floor and it hit my knee and just scraped and I'm bleeding everywhere. So that actually took away how bad I was because everybody's looking at my knee while I'm bleeding during my number. And then my best friend had given me some thigh highs, but this is, I don't know if you've ever seen my pictures of me in drag as far as my shoes go, but I almost always wear 5 and 6 inch stilettos. Well, this is what started me wearing them, but I had never worn them before. And I looked like Bambi because I was struggling to walk in 6 inch stilettos. But I will tell you the biggest thing when it comes to drag and being able to be more confident is just to keep doing it. It's repetition gets you out there. And it seems so weird to say this, but the more you go out in drag and meet people in the bar, the more faces become familiar. And then when you're performing for people that you know, at least for me, I'm even more confident because I know they're my cheerleader. So even if I'm not that great, they're gonna make me feel like I was $1 million. You know what I mean? Like, now when I get off stage, they're gonna be like, "Bitch, what was that? You look crazy." Like, but it's fun because I know they're not meaning it maliciousness. Like they're meaning it to like help me out. So it's just all about repetition, having a good time, doing things that you know. Like, even though for me it didn't work, but for others it works to do songs you know. But the more you do it, the better you become and the more confident you get. But I will tell you a little secret. I still, to this day, when I'm about to go on stage, am nervous. Like it doesn't stop. You just know how to manage it. And it's like you know how to like take a deep breath and step out. And you know it's going to be great. Because the things that we think that we're messing up on, most of the time, they don't even notice it.
Yeah.
Like they don't even see it. And we're just being hypercritical of ourselves.
Oh, that is
Unless
so
you fall on
interesting.
the floor, then they definitely saw it. I'm like, they saw that girl. You were laid out, okay? Like, if your hair falls off, they saw that girl. They saw it, okay? Because I used to wear a ponytail, girl, and I did a hair flip, and that ponytail went whoop, and then it stayed there when my head came back up. I was like, that's not where my hair go. They saw it. They definitely saw it.
Oh, that is so cool. Well, I know, like, so I wanted to bring up this quote by you that you would usually bring up, and that's that you can't have a better tomorrow until you change your mindset today. So when did you come up with that whole, I guess, quote and really get that mindset?
Yeah. So when my mom passed away, it was something that was like, I think I tried to numb myself from everything and not deal with it. And then many years later, I ended up having a lot of anxiety. I was having panic attacks. I was really stressed. And I went to the doctor one time and I said, look, I feel like I will be walking in the store. And this is when I was in Atlanta. I said, I could be walking, having a great day. And then out of nowhere, I feel like my heart is skipping. I'm really lightheaded. I feel like I want to pass out. I start sweating. what is the problem? And she goes, are you stressed? And I said, no, I'm not stressed. I mean, yeah, my job is busy, but it's not really stressful. And she goes, well, just so you know, you've been sitting here, and the entire time you've been sitting here, you've been clenching your jaw so tight. And I was like, really? She goes, you don't even notice it? And I was like, no, like, I don't feel stressed. She goes, you have a lot of stress, and you are very, like, you have a lot of anxiety. And so you're having panic attacks. And I said, I didn't even think about that. So what ended up happening is I got a prescription. Obviously, you know, they always want to write you something for a pill. And they wanted me to go and start seeing I think it's a psychiatrist. I think it's the one that had to prescribe it, or a psychologist. I don't know the difference between the two. They always want to talk about you. They're like, how are you feeling today? And I'm like, starving, because I didn't eat before I came in. But the one thing that we started talking, and I started getting better sleep, and then I started realizing all these emotions started coming up like a floodgate, and then it wouldn't stop. And I was like, what is the problem? And so I ended up only focusing on like the negativity, seeing the problem in everything. Like, and this is once like all that stress started coming out, it's like it just wouldn't stop. But it made my mindset to where I was like really bitter all the time. I was always frustrated. It was always somebody else was making me mad. Somebody else was the issue. I wasn't getting booked because of somebody else. And I finally had to look in the mirror and say, you know what? You seem to have a lot of issues. So what if all these other things aren't the issue? It's the one person it's affecting that's the problem. And so I literally just sat there and was like, yep, it's definitely me. I'm getting what I'm putting out into the universe, and I am in such a negative mind space right now, like a headspace. I am miserable because I'm making myself miserable, and people are treating me how I think they're treating me, but they're not treating me that way beforehand. It's because of my reaction that they're now treating me that way. So I had to really self-discover that when you put yourself in a positive mindset, instead of saying, oh my gosh, I got a flat tire, why don't you say, I got a flat tire, but I'm wondering what this flat tire is stopping me from happening before. After. What if I didn't get a flat tire and something would have happened after? Like, look at the positive. Maybe it's stopping me from something else happening. So I started changing my mindset every single day. I would look in the mirror and I had to tell myself, because I had really like low confidence at the moment, and said, you're amazing. You're worth it. You are meant to be here. You're meant to be doing what you're doing. You're meant to be successful. And I had to make myself re-believe in myself, because I literally put myself in the situations that I was complaining about. So I get people to try and understand now that it's like, stop with the negativity. Stop focusing on the one bad thing out of this entire situation, and you will start getting a different result. And once you do that, you will see so much change in everything. You'll see a change in your career with your advancement. You'll see the change in how your friends are around. You'll see the change in who you're actually friends with. Because sometimes you get that from the people you hang out with. It's like an addiction. You're just like, everybody's just bitching and complaining all the time. And I'm like, girl, it ain't that bad. Like, come on now. That's why I tell them, it's like drawing on your eyebrows, which, I mean, you haven't had to do this, but drawing on your eyebrows in drag, you know, sometimes this shit ain't even family. Okay. This one is like in Kentucky and this one is in New York. Okay. They are nowhere near each other. But I'm like, just slow down. It's fine. Just tweak it a little bit. And again, 9 times out of 10, whatever you're noticing, people don't even notice. So you're just highlighting something, and the first thing you do, out of habit, girl, my eyebrows look like shit, but don't clock me. Well, they just did, because you told on yourself. So that was one of my things, and that's why I say it constantly, because even if one person could take it to heart and start changing their mindset to have a better life and happier, and not focusing on the negativity and just enjoying their day, then eventually they're going to spread it to somebody else. And it's like a snowball effect. Then, the whole world's not going to be world peace and rainbow and, shit and kittens and stuff. Like, it's not going to happen. It just doesn't work that way, because there has to be something negative to get some kind of rolling of something else, but it doesn't mean that everybody has to be negative. So I just try to make somebody's life better. That's all it is. I'm like, because I'm enjoying mine, you should enjoy yours.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that is really, really cool. Well, one thing I wanted to bring up to you is I know I was watching one of your videos and you had dressed up like Jennifer Coolidge, and you did like a really, really good job of like representing her. So like what was what drove you to want to reenact that?
Well, I think every homosexual thinks that they sound just like her. Every homo thinks that they have the same voice as her. And it's funny because if you ever, you're in a gay bar, when if you play that sound or that movie comes on, every single person tries to make the noise, like to say that same line.
Mhm.
And I think that when I auditioned for RuPaul's Drag Race, I had to have a Snatch Game character. So originally, I had done other characters the first time I auditioned, and I didn't really like the characters that I had chosen. So this time when I auditioned, that's actually what that video was from. I did her as a character because I'm like, okay, my lips are just as big as hers, if not smaller. And then I'm like, I know I don't look like her for real, but maybe I can try and look like her because she's plus size. So it's all about like, what can you kind of look like and what can you make funny for Snatch Game? But it just kind of stuck. Like it was just easy. And I just I said the line one time in a homosexual bar, of course, where it usually happens, where just random conversations about hot dogs come up, I guess. And you already know what I'm talking about. Look, don't act like you don't know. Because you've never just been standing in a straight bar and talking about hot dogs. But I said it one time and everybody was like, you sound just like her. I think I sound like her, but not just like her. But I also found out I don't sound like anybody else that I did as a character. So I'm like, that's the go-to, girl.
Well, that is really awesome because, like, to me, you did a fantastic job, representing her. That is amazing.
That was the
Well,
least amount of makeup I've ever worn in my life. I just want you to know that. And it felt so uncomfortable. I was like, I have on no black liner at all. This is weird. And you see, I only have a smidge of black liner on tonight. So for what you saw there to what's on now, I was like, I had to put the shovel away for the makeup because, girl, she was just tinted moisturizer and chapstick. That was it. And
well, yeah, you look amazing tonight. Just to let you know that. And before we actually end up closing everything out, I want to ask you, like, what does drag mean to you every time that you're able to go out and actually perform, having the amount of passion that you do have for it?
So for me, drag was a way to express myself. I think every drag queen says that. I think it's so like everybody's like, it's so cliche, but I'm like, it's true. Most of us are not able to express ourselves growing up, and we're suppressed by family, by church, we're suppressed by people that just don't understand. Um, we're also suppressed by people that watch white chicks and thinks it's funny, but then thinks what I do is wrong. And it's one of those things that every time I step on stage, I make sure that the music that I do, within reason, girl, because there's a couple songs that she's real raunchy and ain't got shit to do with other than just making money. But it's all about making people in the crowd feel something. I tell entertainers, you have to find out who you are as a person and as an entertainer. What is your style? And I'm not talking about style as far as outfits go, but you have some entertainers that they only dance. That's all they do. They dance the house down. They're bucking. And I don't do that. That's not who I am. I want to do a number that when I walk off that stage, actually, I'm rewind. I want to do a song that when I step on stage, you almost like mouth, oh shit. Like it's like a wow moment. Like it's you stopped. And I will tell people that my strong suit when it comes to performing is I can stand in one spot on a stage or on a floor or in a dark ass room. It doesn't matter, but I can stand in one spot And I will have every single person in that bar, club, house, wherever it may be that booked me for that night, they will not take their eyes off of me. And I don't tell them it's not because of my look, it's because of how commanding I am on stage. And I want them to feel the passion. And nothing drives me more nuts than when I see an entertainer performing and they're just singing the song, like they're just mouthing it, but they have no idea what the hell it's saying. And I'm like, all right, you're just performing the song, okay? You're not conveying the song.
Mhm.
So the biggest thing is I want people to understand when it comes to drag, and for me especially, is I'm tired of not being the star of my own life. And that's the great thing about drag, is you don't have to audition to be the star. You are the star. You don't have anybody else on stage with you unless you choose for them to be on stage with you. And it's so empowering to know that me being a man, putting on a little bit of chapstick and petite wigs like I have on today is so invigorating to people that have never seen it. It is liberating to those that want to do it. And it also helps break barriers when it comes to ignorance, but it also helps with making money to change and make a difference in the world. I mean, the show that I'm doing tonight, we're literally raising money to donate to a food pantry. Like, it is the entire purpose of it is to donate the money. We're not getting paid. We're not keeping tips. I don't do that all the time because, bitch, it's expensive to do drag, and I ain't paying out of pocket for this shit. Okay, I'm just letting you know. However, it's an opportunity to do it from time to time. That's why Gulf Coast Equality was so big, because when Chris and I met, he was making a difference without doing drag. But I get to step on stage and help him and his group make a difference. It's all about changing the mindset of people. And if you ever watch me when I go on live on TikTok, I get so many haters. So many haters. And the funny thing is people think that it's only online.
Mhm.
But what they don't understand is it's in the real world. But the good thing about drag queens versus people that just do makeup on TikTok is we get to go out and give you an opportunity to say it to our face, like to make this a conversation, honey. Because if you don't understand it and you don't try to understand it, then that's your own fault, because you're just sitting on screen. But
Yeah.
I'm giving you a chance to talk to me in person at a drag show. Sometimes walk into fast food restaurant. Just depends on how hungry I am after the show. Because there's been quite a few times that McDonald's got really nervous because after that show, this hair is off, the makeup is still on, and I'm ordering a McDouble. But it gives it a chance to make things stop being taboo. It's only taboo because you don't know about it. It's like, girl, we're going to bust that door off, honey. There is no in the closet anymore.
Yeah.
We're taking all the doors off.
Oh man, that is so awesome. Well, here's a question just before. I guess I was just gonna ask you a final question, but I have another question. It's like, will you ever come and actually perform here in the Pacific Northwest?
Girl, if they're paying. I'm like, the booking fee's got to be cute, and they got to pay for travel and the hotel. Other than that, I don't rely on tips to be what dictates me going. And somebody's like, oh, the tips are great. I'm like, well, that's real fabulous, huh? But I need guaranteed coins. I will make sure I perform well enough to get the tips that I want. But if everybody, like, I don't have anywhere that I wouldn't perform. Let's just say that. As long as they're willing to pay and get me there, because it does cost a lot. I mean, one costume, you got to think, I got a wig that I change every single number, the jewelry, the shoveling of makeup that I just put on my face. That's a lot on its own, girl. This is a lot. I can break this shit off right now. But you got the costuming, the rhinestones on the costumes, the shoes. I mean, it's a lot. And it costs a fortune to do it. And I don't like duplicating. And I will never, like, when I go to a drag show, I go out in drag to walk around before the show so that I meet every single person that's in there. Look, I got a thumbs up on here. Gonna come back now. So I go and talk beforehand so that the people understand that, yes, you're here to watch a drag show, but I appreciate you being here. I do my numbers, and then after the show's done, I stay and do photos. Like, it's a whole package. So it's not just you're paying me to come shake my ass on stage and then I kick it. Like, I do way more. So I tell them, you get what you pay for, girl.
Yeah.
And sometimes I got a coupon for you. You never know. But I'm like,
All
sometimes
right.
they want me to go somewhere real country and I get real nervous, girl. I pull up and I'm like, all I see are big old trucks and I'm real nervous, honey.
Oh man. All right. Well, it was an absolute pleasure to sit down and just talk with you for a little bit and maybe get some people to just know who Justice Taylor is.
Well, I appreciate you and thank you again for thinking of me. I know there's a million people in this world, but to be just one of them you get to bring on here is awesome. I almost thought about coming in a wrestler outfit because I did go back and see some of your other podcasts. And
I appreciate it.
I said she got a lot of wrestlers, and I know that she thinks I look a little manly, but I'm not China over here, okay? No. I'm like, I'm not gonna give more like Matt Hardy, but no. But I appreciate it again. Like, it's an honor. And I'm glad that it worked out this way for me to have a show to where I could get ready earlier and be able to be on camera in drag, because it's just like when I go out to watch a show here, I want to go out in drag because that's how I want to support you. And I know that we're talking about the drag persona, so it only is fitting for me to be in full face while we're chatting. So full face today, girl. I'm paying for the back row of Chili's. I'm telling you right now, she is ready.
Oh my gosh. I swear, I have not probably laughed this hard in a long time. So thank you very, very much. And I just hope like you have a very, very good night, and I hope to talk to you soon.
You too. Have an amazing night, and give your mom a big old hug and kiss for me because I love her. She's sickening. I was telling them on the live how amazing she is, and I said, go back and look at anything that's ever been made merch-wise. It's usually from her because I appreciate it. I still got it up in here looking real cute, girl. So I appreciate her so much, and that's how we actually met. So, you know, good people get around good people. So thank you again, and I hope you have a fabulous evening.
All right. I just thank you so much, and I just hope you have a really, really good show.
Thank you so much. Have a good one. I'll be posting it tomorrow.
All right. Have a good night.
All right, you too. Bye, love.
All right, you guys. So that was Interesting's podcast interview with Justice Taylor. Make sure to hit that like, subscribe button, ring that notification bell so you guys get notified whenever I upload content. Make sure to go and follow me on social media at CodyT503. That's Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. And remember, later on today, I'm actually going to be dropping the new announcement for Interesting Podcast heading into October. So this is going to be something you guys are not going to want to miss. I will catch you guys later. I hope you have a good night.